Good morning. You join me on the Chichester 100-mile ride. We're riding in the West Sussex Downs. This is going to be a bit of a storm chaser ride today, so hopefully you can still hear me. I'm joined by my coach behind me. My brother's doing his first Imperial Century, and the plan today, apart from dodging all the potholes, is to try and beat Storm Dave. The goal of today's ride, beat the storm. I think we're still going to catch the tail end of it, but looking at the direction where it's going west to east, I'm probably totally wrong on that. We should hopefully have a tailwind, so it's going to be interesting to see. Using this as a bit of a training ride, test out some new nutrition protocols. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Okay, this ride has made me realise I brought the wrong tool for the job. So I recently did the Chichester 100. It was organised by UK Velo and I did the 100-mile option. And I just want to say a massive thank you to all the staff and the volunteers there for making it possible. So I had 3 goals for this ride. Number 1 was to help my brother do his first ever Imperial Century. Number 2 was to make sure my nutrition strategy worked. And number 3 was to actually bring you along with me and get better and practice filming on the bike. Now, as you'll see shortly, I didn't get that much footage, and what this ride has recently done is an idea I've had floating in my mind has suddenly become very clear that this might be the approach I'm going to take going forward. So just one quick shout out in case I forgot to put it on camera. I found out that the Van Rysel jersey I was wearing, it's sort of like this winter overcoat type thing. Turns out it's waterproof, so I didn't actually need the raincoat with me as well. But it was a great ride. We got to experience all the weather conditions on this ride. We had extreme rain at the start, some crazy headwinds, and it was actually getting quite sunny and warm towards the end. So I actually got to use this to test out the new Van Rysel helmet I picked up. And I just felt like because I got to experience everything, it was really good. And I suppose it's like the saying, rough seas make good sailors. And so it was a really good experience to go through that. The nutrition strategy worked flawlessly. Admittedly, there's one thing I forgot, which was the cold. It absolutely sapped the energy out of me and it was making me hungrier. I found out that you can burn somewhere between 20 to 30% extra just because of a cold. So despite wrapping up quite warm, I did get cold and that did kind of throw things off a little bit, but again, a really good lesson learned. Slight spoiler here as well is my brother did complete his first century ride. I think he was struggling a little bit towards the end, but we were so close to the finish line, I kind of had to say, come on, let's push, let's get across there. So overall, it was a pretty cool ride. There were some cool people on there and I had a lot of fun and also learned a lot, but most importantly, confirmed that the nutrition strategy worked really well, albeit with a little bit of cold thrown in there as well. But the main thing was filming on the bike, and I felt like I didn't quite get to do as much as I wanted. And the truthful reason behind this is it didn't feel safe to film. And so I'm just going to take you behind the scenes here, but when I'm out filming on the bike, I have my right hand on the bars and I usually have the camera, as you'll see, in the left hand. And so what I try and do is look for like a nice long straight bit of road or somewhere where I can see that it's relatively flat, but also the road surface isn't littered with potholes. And unfortunately on this ride, it was either rolling terrain, so it was going up and down, or the road surface was, let's just not beat around the bush, it wasn't great. It was littered with potholes, or it was this really weird, I don't think you'd even call it chip and seal, it was just really bumpy.
The road surfaces have been horrendous. It's partly why I haven't been filming. I mean, it's just like you're bouncing around.
And so the thing that had been floating around in my mind recently had been, would I be better off on a gravel bike to do UK road cycling? And at first it sounds a bit crazy, but then when you play it back, that most of the country lanes that a lot of us cyclists use actually do have a lot of gravel on there. Also the increased comfort because you can run wider tyres to absorb some of that road buzz. And I think the bit that really kind of sold it to me was my brother's just recently gone out and got himself an amazing bike. And it's a really aggressive road racing bike. And the bike I use, as you may or may not know, is a Cannondale Super 6 Evo, and it's also quite stiff. And so you realise all that road buzz is going into you. Every sort of shake and bump in the road, you feel it. And I know it's not going to be quite the case with a gravel bike, but it's designed for that harsher terrain, which you're kind of facing on UK roads. And GCN recently put out a video talking about how because the councils are lacking money, that potentially some councils are looking at replacing road surfaces with gravel itself. So potentially there might be a huge gravel boom in the UK. So what has this got to do with filming? Well, I'll share a link to that GCM video. Connor dropped a brilliant line as well, but he said, because of the increased traffic as well, and now that you're having to pay attention to the road surfaces, you can't really switch off like you used to be able to do when you go out cycling. And I felt that was really true. There was lots of traffic you had to be aware of in front of you and behind you, but then whilst you're not doing that, you're then having to look out for potholes. And there's something else I thought about it as well, is it suddenly opens up more routes for me. I can do road and gravel, whereas with my road bike I can only really do road. The other thing as well is about potentially saving money, and I've got a review I'm planning to do on the cheap Chinese wheels I have, because they are absolutely amazing, but there's that constant fear that it's going to be one pothole you missed and those wheels are game over. And it doesn't matter how cheap they are, it's still going to hurt if a pothole ruins it. But one thing for me, I'm thinking that psychologically with gravel riding as opposed to road cycling is, number one, you're not going to have the traffic, so it's going to be a little bit calmer, be able to film a little bit more, won't be having to pay so much attention, and can finally switch off and relax. But also the other thing, and I don't think this gets talked about enough, is if you go out gravel riding, you're kind of expecting the surface to be imperfect, right? That it's going to be maybe some bumps and it's going to be a bit loose, but you're sort of prepared for it. And the bike as well, you'll usually prepare for dirt and grime. So you'll probably put mud guards on it, a wax chain and things like that. With road cycling, you kind of think nice, pristine tarmac, but then you kind of end up with gravel instead. And so your bike isn't as prepared. You might be running an oil chain like I was doing. It came out absolutely disgusting after that ride. I'm convinced the oil turned into some sort of grinding paste. And so this isn't a sales pitch, but I definitely see wax chains being really good, especially for the sort of grime. The bike started off white and it came out sort of shade of brown, but with gravel, you're sort of mentally prepared for all these challenges ahead of time. Whereas what I'm kind of seeing here now is the sort of mental friction. You're going out road cycling, can't switch off, potholes everywhere, increased traffic, and as we've mentioned, just poor road surfacing. So it's a very long-winded way of saying why I didn't film as much, is it simply just wasn't safe to do so. It's kind of frustrating for me because there's some really cool events I've got coming up, and I want to share more content with you. I know the obvious answer might be just slap a camera on the front of the bike, but as you saw the state I ended up in, I don't want the camera to get covered in all that grime and constantly be having to clean it off. So it's trying to find a compromise between the two. And so if you have any suggestions, please let me know, I'll be all ears. But yeah, this was kind of an interesting ride. It was really fun, really good, very challenging in some circumstances, and fantastic for testing out all these things, but I felt like I really kind of let myself down with not filming more content, but just due to the circumstances, it just didn't feel like that was possible. So we've got some bigger rides coming up, we've got some really exciting content coming out shortly, so I'm hoping we should be able to capture a bit more for that. And so one question I'm going to leave you with before I go is, have any of you swapped from road cycling to gravel? And if so, what was the reason why? And also, what bike do you recommend? I've just recently seen about the new Canyon bike that's come out, the Endurace I think it's called, and it seems like it might be about to plug this niche, because someone like me just heard about that fast for really bad roads, and I suddenly thought, I think Canyon might have a customer here. So very interested to hear your thoughts. With that, I'm going to say have some happy cycling out there, try and avoid those potholes, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.